All right. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in tonight, and we'll wait. We'll give everyone a few more minutes for a few more late people to tune in tonight. But yeah, very, very important call. Welcome, and thanks for putting the time aside. And we have a couple of very, very special guests joining us tonight. But before we introduce these two wonderful ladies and we talk about this incredibly, I guess, disturbing topic about the Brumbies, I just want to thank you all for being here. A few people out there on the chat. Bronwyn Toombs, thanks for being here, Bronwyn. Darren, good to see you here on the call, mate. Ken Hoey, thanks for being here. Ken, Kimberly Jane, thank you so much for attending the call. Louise, Lynn Newbury, thank you, Louise and Lynn. Maxine Nickel, thanks for being here, Maxine. Sophie, Stephanie Solaris, how are you, Steph? Always good to see you here. Sue Pryor, thank you for being on the call. Jeanette Marie, Jessie Lane, and a few more people tuning in as well. And I guess a bit of an intimate call here tonight, folks, and I'm sure the call will grow in numbers as we go, and it will be made available on the website. But incredibly disturbing topic we're going to talk about tonight, which is the culling of the beautiful Australian Brumbies. And to discuss that with us tonight, we have Billy Dean, who's been involved in this space for a very long time. How are you, Billy?
Good, thank you. And thank you everyone for being here and having me on.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing our attention to this cause. I don't know what it is about this, but this one really hits me in the heart. Like, it's giving me goosebumps, and I actually feel emotional just that we're going to talk about this. I don't know what it is, and it's affecting me already, this call. I don't know why, and I'm sure you're going to shed some light on this as we go on. And Claire Galea, thank you so much for being here, Claire. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to be here today.
Yeah, look, it's a pleasure, and this is what we do. You know, we try our best to bring attention to these causes because we don't have an independent media in Australia any longer, and we don't have a government that serves the interests of the people and nor the interests of our wildlife, our environment, our animals. So I might just start with yourself, Billy. I've had a super busy day, and we pulled this call together on very short notice. But Billy, tell us a little bit about yourself first of all, and how long you've been, I guess, fighting this battle to raise awareness for the cause of the Brumbies.
Yes, just quickly, I've been in rescue for nearly 40 years, and I started with domestic horses. And about 20 years ago, I got my first truckload of K&P horses. And the difference between the wild horses and the broken domestic horses was incredible. I found that these horses are healers, and that's backed up by the HeartMath Institute. The scientists there have measured them. They really do send out a healing presence, which is probably why you're already feeling emotional.
Interesting. Sorry, can I just jump in there? You said KMP horses?
K&P, Kosciouscko National Park.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying that.
And so yes, and now we've got around 80 in sanctuary, and they're my friends, and they don't do, I mean, I live with them. I've lived with them for 2 decades, and the lies that are in the media about them is heartbreaking. It is bullying, it is abusive, it is just lies. One story that really is pertinent is just the other day, my horses were surrounding something. They were standing in a circle, this one little family. They stay in families. They're very loving. They, they bond very deeply to each other. They just love bugs. Anyway, so my husband went over to them because he knew that if they're standing in a circle, something's going on. And there was this little kangaroo with a baby, and these guys were sending their healing and bringing attention and protecting this baby, this little one. And so Andrew knew. He called me. I started to call all the wildlife people. We couldn't get help till about 3 o'clock. And so I went out. We never leave a downed animal. But I didn't need to go out because these horses were taking care of this baby, little Roo. And we'd had a big storm the night before, so she dislocated her hip, we found later, but she couldn't move. And so these horses did not leave. They stayed there. And I've got a photo of them just a little distance away, and they're sending their energy, and I could feel it because I was sitting next to the little roo. I could just soaking it up, and they didn't leave until Steve came and took Shinty, as we called her, away to hospital. But if we hadn't had those Brumbies there, that roo would have died, because we would never have found her where she was, and we wouldn't have known to look. So,
Wow.
just amazing. And it's not the first time I've seen them do that. And some of them, another mob was playing in our dam. Our dam is pristine, and even though they were playing in the dam, there were frogs galore, absolute deafening. And so I took videos of it, and I've posted videos of the frogs in our dam where the 3 mobs of wild horses live. And we just leave them natural. We don't train them. We don't do anything, you know. I mean, I've left them wild so we can observe them and observe how they live. And that's what I write about and make films about.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to knowing more about this incredible journey you've been on, Billy. And Claire, if I could jump over to you now, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, how long you've been working with Brumbies, and yeah, give us a bit of an insight to what's going on in your world at the moment.
Well, I think I couldn't be more different from Billy Dean, and thank you. Thanks, Billy Dean, for all that you're doing. I'm an independent bias statistician. I've only been in the Brumby fight for about 6 months, with great thanks to Ling Newbury, who brought me into this world. I originally got into the fight for kangaroos years ago, and I was asked to look at the data for the kangaroos. I've been a biostatistician for 25 years. I specialise in population trends over time. And I was asked to look at the kanga data and see what was going on, and it was the worst data I'd ever seen. And it was being modelled by a gentleman called Stuart Cairns through University of New England. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like, population increases in a year of 465%, and then in area the size of Tasmania, 99% population percent decline. Absolute phenomenal data. And I'm thinking, is nobody looking at this? What's going on with this data?
That was kangaroos, yeah?
That was all kangaroos.
Okay.
Ended up being a key witness at the New South Wales Kangaroo Inquiry. And during that inquiry, Stuart Cairns stated that the kangaroo work didn't need to be peer-reviewed because his horsework, or his feral horsework, had been. And I thought, what's going on here? So anyway, long story short, years later, I was asked to look at a report by Joanne Canning, who's done amazing work in this Brumby space on the data. And I thought the kangaroo data was bad. The Brumby data is the worst I've seen in my career. It is absolutely appalling what's going on in the park. For example, they survey 70% of the park, and they see 1,800 animals. Now, the assumptions that they make, and I'm happy to go through the 5 key assumptions. One of the assumptions they state is that any area that isn't surveyed, the density is 0. That means there's no horses where they don't survey. So they survey 70% of the park, see 1,800 horses, but then suddenly there's 23,500. Are those other 22,000 living all in the trees? Where are they? Like, it's absolutely impossible, the numbers that they come up with. They make these assumptions in this data that 100% of horses are all seen, but they're not. Make this one, horses don't move and don't move in groups. How? Last I checked, horses run and run in herds, so that assumption's completely wrong. They state that the horses have to be equally distributed across the whole park, like they're in this little grid pattern. And they have to see a minimum of 60 to 80 clusters of horses. Now, in 2014, they saw 10, not 60. In 2019, they saw 5. So they add the 2 years together and then try and estimate a population from that. There aren't the horses there. They're completely unreliable modelling that they're doing. And it's exactly the same for the kangaroos as it is for the horses. And we've been screaming this for years to no avail. And in the New South Wales Kangaroo Inquiry, Penny Sharpe stated that it was a significant issue, it was a serious concern, and it didn't matter what species. And that was about kangaroos. But now suddenly when it comes to the wild horses, oh no, that methodology is fine. It's absolutely hypocritical.
Oh my gosh, you're dealing with numbers that are completely bogus, fictitious numbers. They make no
100%.
sense. Nonsensical numbers.
Yeah, what they state for the population there, every mare would have to have 7 foals a year. Now, if any racing industry could work out how horses are having 7 foals a year down there, they'd be onto it. It's biologically impossible what they're stating is happening down there.
And so if I can jump back to you, Billy, and just to give our listeners a bit of, I guess, an insight, I don't know anything about Brumbies, really, other than that they're wild horses. Are they native? Were they introduced with the British? Can you tell us a little bit about the horses themselves and their background?
Yeah, that's not an area that I know a lot about, except that they were turned out into the park. But it wasn't a park, and that's the thing that I have an issue with. They were turned out, they've grown, they've bred this incredible DNA, and we're going to lose that. Horses have been on this planet for over 30 million years. That's longer than humans. And they have this innate adaptability. So they know how to live with the environment, and they know how to adapt to an environment. So they've been out there for 200 years learning how to be in a symbiotic relationship with the other animals, the other beings, and the landscape and the land. And if anybody understands how the environment works, when you live with it, when you live with country, when you live with the living landscape, everything is interconnected. And the Brumbies are now interconnected. They are now a keystone species. They are replacing the large herbivore that Australia used to have. So what Penny Sharpe, in her wonderful ideology, is doing, and her quite ruthless method of dealing with the environment, is she's removing a keystone species who is actually looking after the country down there, who is interrelated, who is interconnected. And there's no one, if they remove them all next week, which is possible, because there's so few down there. There's only a few hundred probably down there now. Small.
Sorry, can I just jump in there? So you're saying right now that there's only a few hundred left in the entire Kosciuszko National Park?
Yeah.
And
they counted. They went down and counted the ones that they could see. There was do you
bit over 700, Billy, and they've taken out in the last year, as well as killed, about 800. So I would probably say it easily, I mean, it's way below the 3,000 that they deem to want to leave there. So it'd be easily getting close to, if lucky, 2,000, but it's more than likely 1,000 if we're lucky.
Yeah, exactly. So if we're lucky. And
sorry,
there's
Lynn.
small,
sorry, Lynn, I don't know you yet. Hi, Lynn.
Yeah, hi, how you going? Yeah, I know Sierra, and I've known, is Sierra here tonight?
Yeah, she would have just admitted you into the call.
Yeah, okay.
So go ahead, Billy.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, so these small family mobs across thousands of hectares aren't doing any damage, really. There's not the thousands trampling all over everything. That's the human species. The human species does that, but the Brumbies don't.
And so what is the possible justification for killing them? What is the official narrative? Because we know the official narrative is just garbage. Like we just saw with the varroamite, I interviewed James from Pure Harvest. They took out, I think, 40,000 beehives in New South Wales because they wanted to contain the varroamite. They tipped petrol into the hives. These beautiful native bees just murdered in front of all of these poor beehive owners. Absolutely devastating. They were threatened with monumental fines. I'm talking fines in the millions, I think, if they didn't cooperate. And they've killed like so many beehives. And they said, oh, well, actually, now we've decided the varroamite isn't so bad. We're just going to roll with it. And what is the possible justification? Lynn, if I can jump over to you, what is the possible justification for killing the horses? What's the official narrative?
Okay. Well, I've known Penny's been gunning for the Brumbies for many years, okay? Now, the Invasive Species Council, I don't know if you've heard of them, Andrew Cox is the CEO. He was instrumental in doing the Guy Fawkes Brumby cull that went to court over cruelty. And there's also Richard Swain. That's their livelihood. They've got to push that animals are pests, and Brumbies are an easy target because you can see them, right? And so they've been in Penny's ear for a long time, all right? And they financially still benefit because that's their job.
And when you say a long time, how far back are we going? Because I remember this being an issue as a kid, and I'm in my late 40s.
Oh, the Brumby issue has been going on for a while. Like when they turned into a national park, they got rid of all of the cattle, which, look, there's good things about having the cattle because it does keep the undergrowth down. But the cattle compared to Brumbies, like I know for a fact, if I was to put 2 cows in a very small paddock, within 24 hours, they would have a lot of grass ripped out because they eat differently to horses. Okay. Whereas horses, they sort of just trim the grass and then they poo it out with seeds and spread more native grass everywhere. So there's a lot of benefits to horses. So Penny has been listening to these people for a long, long time and won't listen to anybody else. So yeah, she's just, her mind's set in concrete about that, and she believes every word they spin to her. And also the same with the scientists as well, Dave. They like, produce a paper for us to prove that, you know, the Brumbies are causing damage, or the foxes are, or the cats are. So they don't look at it holistically. They just produce that paper and go bang, bang, bad, 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 bad. So they're once again getting paid as well.
Well, we've just seen the whole same thing with the COVID narrative. Whoever was being paid, you know, the most ran with the story, and then the media ran with that story, and then the public bought into it. And
they're cashed up too, Dave. They're cashed up, so they're able to push it to the media. Oh,
they're radically cashed up. And what we're finding is there's people who are so easily compromised in so many positions of authority in this country. It's staggering. If I can bounce back to you, Claire, I think it's really it's refreshing to have, I guess, someone who's a scientist here who's got a conscience and who's actually giving us some real data, because without real data and real science and an independent media, we don't have any truth getting out there to the people. So Claire, what's your experience been of this bogus data that's being pushed out for this insane, I guess, this ludicrous attempt at justifying this murder of these beautiful horses?
Yeah, look, I can't make any sense of it at all. I know there's a lot of money behind the kangaroo industry that's fueling that. And if we brought Stuart Cairns and the methodology down, then that too would come down. That concerns me. But one thing that they said, this work's been peer reviewed. The people that peer reviewed this is the company that made the software.
Yeah.
So they made the software and they're the ones that are reviewing. There's a total conflict of interest. And we were told we were going to get an independent recount. I went into New South Wales Parliament, met with New South Wales Labor people. I met with National Parks, Atticus Fleming, the head there, and nothing. Absolute lies. There's no recount whatsoever. There's supposed to be an independent recount. It didn't happen. They didn't. We put forward for, and this, I'm more than happy. I want this out there. Every year, National Parks and Wildlife Service do an annual head count, and they fly over the national parks. So, for example, in 2021, they saw 3,699 horses. Since then, until June 2023, they've trapped 1,649. They've slaughtered 890, and that's leaving 759 horses.
What? Sorry, could I just jump in there?
Yep.
How many have been slaughtered already?
So they've trapped 1,649 and they've slaughtered 890, but that doesn't count. That's only up until August. That doesn't count what's happened in September, the prolific shooting that's going on with the carcasses there. But all we asked them to do, right, was fly their flight path that they go every year. We offered to pay for the helicopter, and we asked, can we have a photographer in that flight? That's all. And to do it twice. So to use what's called Mark Recite, our photographer, he's world-renowned. He claimed he could get between 5,000 to 7,000 uniquely identifiable photos every day. We offered them to Labor. We offered them to National Parks. We offered them to Ray Hadley, anybody who wants those photos, so everyone can see what's in that park. Nope. Wouldn't take it. Wouldn't do it. Penny Sharpe wouldn't do it.
If you can just give me an idea, Claire, of the numbers, okay, take us back 5 years ago. How many horses would you have estimated were in there?
So that was in 2019. They saw just under 1,800 horses. They covered 70% of the park.
Okay, so you must have said there's roughly 2,000.
Yep.
There's roughly 2,000 horses out there.
According to their numbers, yes.
And roughly right now, what would you estimate is out there currently?
I'd be amazed if there's 500-600 at most. Judging by National Parks numbers, like I said, they won't let us get up there in the chopper and get photos. They're hiding. They're hiding.
Of course they are. And I'm just baffled. Why do they want to kill them?
I just stick to the argument of the numbers.
Okay, I'll say,
Lynn.
yeah, you argue the numbers definitely because you're the expert there, Claire.
Please,
Hi,
Lynn,
Claire.
go ahead.
How are you,
do they
Claire
want to kill
and Billy?
these horses?
Okay, all right. So I think
it
the recent edition of why it's happening is, and this is when I first sort of joined after I had heard about it in 2016, and then they killed the little wild horses at the Singleton Army Base. So I started looking into the Kosciuszko National Park, and I looked at both sides. I was open. Yeah, I mean, I love horses. I didn't want them to be killed, but I started looking into it, and I went, oh, hang on a minute. Pork Barrel Barrelaro, nobody likes him, especially Labor. They hate Barrelaro. Okay, now he's not in Parliament anymore. And Peter Cochrane, who runs Brumby tours and riding tours in Kosciuszko National Park, him and Barrelaro are friends. Peter Cochrane used to be in the National Party as well. Now, the Labor Party and the left, now I'm left, just to be upfront with everybody, I'm quite left with most things. Obviously, they said that Barrelaro did a deal on this legislation with Cochrane to benefit him. Now, he runs tourism in Kosciuszko National Park. He's been a mountain man for forever. Richard Swain, the First Nations person who's the ambassador for Reclaim Kosci, the Brumby hater, blah, 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 the Indigenous guide. He also runs a tourism operation in Kosciuszko National Park for eco-tours. He used to advertise on his brochures for Brumbies. He doesn't anymore because it's more financial beneficial for him to bag them out. So it's basically a war of left versus right. Okay, people don't like Barrelaro. They don't like what he did. They don't like Cochrane and Richard Swain and him. Yeah, that's what I thought straight away. Now I've spoken about this with Billy. And that's where I thought it really started to rev up, was because there was that fight between the two men, even though they weren't verbally at each other. But I mean, everyone knows John Barilaro, right? Yes?
Not really, no.
The National Party? Okay. He was very high up. He was like the deputy premier and this and that, and whatever. And
I remember the name, yeah.
Location is for pork barreling, basically. A bit corrupt, but he used to laugh about being called Pork Barrelaro and say, and possibly admit that he was. So it's kind of a bit of that sort of fight. And Penny would be digging her heels in because she's been listening to, like I said, Richard Swain, the eco-tourist First Nations person who isn't even from the mob of the custodians of Kosciuszko National Park. He's not even from their mob, but he's speaking on behalf of their mob, and they're not happy about it, but they're not doing anything either.
But if he's an ecotourism operator, wouldn't it be an add value to his tour company if there was Brumbies rather than having them all dead?
No, because ecotourism meaning natives only, just like he is, I suppose. Now I'm not. Yeah, that's just what I see. The fight between two tourist companies have helped it rev up since about, gosh, I don't even know, before I came onto it. And what's become quite beneficial for Richard Swain, because he's even got a honorary doctorate, is it, ladies, if you can remember?
Associate professorship at ANU.
Yeah, because of his work.
Where Donnie Driscoll is also there. And if I can just say that that particular professor at ANU has gone down and looked at wild horses, said, one, they chase kangaroos. Well, I can tell you, I have got masses of kangaroos living with my wild horses, and you just all heard the story of how they saved the little roo. So that's not right. He's also, I believe, I heard, has said that horses have litters. Horses, it takes 11 months for one foal, thank you, to be born. Then he also said that these wild horses were cannibals, and I think he had a
Yeah.
What?
had a
He's a
photo.
dickhead. Oh, yeah.
He totally had a photo of a horse looking over another horse. Now, what he probably doesn't understand is that these horses grieve deeply, and I have witnessed
Mm.
over and over again a horse when a horse is down, dead, they'll paw them to ask them to get up. I've seen babies do it to their mums. Get up, get
Mm.
up, get up. You know, they and that's probably what he saw. It's not got nothing to do with them
No.
eating them.
Billy, sorry to jump
grief.
in. If I can ask you, Billy, I'm really concerned about also what's happening when these horses are being captured. Claire was saying there's been a large number of them. They've been captured in the last 12 months or so. What's happening in that case when they're captured? Tell us what these horses experience. Is it humane? Do you know what the process is? Where are they kept? Where do they go? Like, it's shocking.
Yeah, there's two places. There's one, they go to the knackeries, and so that's absolutely horrifying for them.
What's
It's
the knackery?
That's where they get slaughtered.
Slaughterhouse.
Okay.
Slaughterhouse.
And it's not even a proper one set up for horses anyway, so that's bad in itself.
Yeah, so that's
and it's the word that I think that's probably one of the
worst
horrific for
ways.
them.
Yeah, absolutely horrific. And the others,
And sorry, I'm just wrapping my head around all this.
yeah,
They're slaughtered, and then what?
shocking.
They end up as pet food, or they're just disposed of. What happens?
I'm not sure what happens to them then. I think dog food.
Right.
And
They used to send them off to
yeah, I was about to say send them
to Queensland and stuff like that for human consumption once they were killed overseas.
but the others are rehomed and
hang on, Di wants to speak. Hi,
Di?
Di.
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm listening.
Hi, Di.
Hey, babe. How are ya?
We got quite the crew here.
Yep.
Okay, well, we'll manage as best we can. Sorry, who was just speaking last?
I was just saying that rehomers also take a lot of them, and they're the lucky ones if they can go to good rehomers, and if they can and a lot of people will do the right thing and keep them together, so they're not just going off alone somewhere, because they really find that very difficult. And some of them, end up in sanctuaries like mine. So
how many have you got at your place, Billy?
over 80.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, God bless you. Well, we need to find out how we can support you more,
Thank
Billy,
you.
as this goes on, because we can mobilize an army and really help you as much as possible. Di, you've just jumped in.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. I love your beanie.
Oh,
Are you down there, Di?
I'm down here. Yes, I arrived this afternoon, Glenn.
Tell us a bit about yourself and your background and how you've been involved in this fight.
Don't even ask me. Okay. Well, I'm
She's our
just a very
champ.
I'm just a very passionate Australian. I love our history, our heritage, and of course I love our wild Brumbies. I used to come down here as a child. I hadn't been down here for over 30 odd years. Actually, Lynn, who you've been talking to, my first trip into KMP was with Lynn. And we cried and we done lots of things, and it was an experience that'll go through with me for the rest of my life. That was when I finally realised that all the BS and all the lies and all the garbage and the propaganda was had to be told, and we had to try and do something about it. So it's took me on over a 3-year journey of probably
Is that what you
consumed
call it?
probably consumed 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I have lived and breathed fighting for these iconic horses, just for justice and for the truth. And It's just led me on political paths. I've gone from coming now on Saturday to my 7th rally, from working from Queanbeyan right through to Sydney. Numerous on the street awareness campaigns,
Petitions.
petitions. I've
if-
run 2 parliamentary petitions. The last one we got over 10,000. The one before that, I think we just went under the limit, didn't we? 9,000 or something.
Yeah,
Walking
that
the
was on
pavement.
paper, by the way.
On paper, these are paper petitions, walking the pavements 3-4 days a week, markets of a weekend, and the last lot we got nearly 11,000 in about a 3-month period, with, you know, probably a good half a dozen people. So, you know, that's basically, you can probably call me crazy.
Yeah,
I've had
That's all right. We'll get on great, no doubt.
Oh, look,
2
she's a
failed
champ. Look, Di is a champ. She is an absolute champ who just doesn't give up. Where all of us have to take breathers, you know, because it's so emotional. I don't know where Di gets. I don't know where you get your energy from, Di. Let alone your heart is like huge, man.
Ladies,
And
I'm
then-
just looking at this. I don't know if you can see that without it getting blurry. This is from 9 News, saying that this aerial shooting of Brumbies approved by the New South Wales government. I don't know if you can see that. That was
yes,
come up
yep.
on 9 News. Now, what I'd love to get an understanding of is how time sensitive is this? Are they about to start just popping off horses from the air tomorrow? Do we have time to get the word out? Can this be stopped?
Monday, the shooting will start Monday. They've
This
already put
Monday coming.
this Monday coming.
Don't
Shooting,
believe a thing
they
that
have-
Penny says, saying that they won't.
don't believe what Penny has said. She was even asked in budget estimates to give a date. She has not given a date. Now, the national parks amended their own website on Monday afternoon at 4:47, 4:48. To add the northern end in, which is Tangtangra Dam. Now, I was one of the less fortunate ones that went in there on the Saturday when the park reopened in October, after being closed for the winter, and witnessed the carnage in there of slaughtered horses, slaughtered foals. It will stay with me for the rest of my life. The smell, I still smell it to this day. After 54 dead horses, I couldn't look any further. But there was many more. There was a couple of hundred more to find after that. Now,
This is really, really, really
That was ground
bad.
shooting. That was ground shooting.
that was
yeah.
ground shooting. That wasn't aerial shooting. That was ground shooting. Now,
Wait,
out
can I just jump in again? This is horrifying. So who is actually commissioned to do the shooting? Who is
Right,
actually
now-
pulling the trigger?
okay, now in the past they've had private contractors. Now Penny Sharpe announced nationally on radio and in an interview last week that they have now fully trained their national parks rangers. Fully trained national parks rangers. I'm in that park lately over the last 12 months. I'm down here about every, I don't know, 5 to 6 weeks. I've never seen a park ranger in there over the age of 40 years, 30 years of age. The average age is in their early 20s. They're all straight out of university, environmental people. Not that I'm against environmental, don't get me wrong.
No, but I get it. The universities are indoctrination camps.
They're indoctrinated.
That's
Now,
right. Yeah.
these people have now been taught to shoot guns.
What could possibly go wrong?
This is cowboys out of now. I mean,
Mm.
it's been proven the backdraft from the helicopter, you cannot get a clean shot.
After
Now,
the fire
if-
service.
Let alone the horses that had been ground shot. And I will give. I've got photographic evidence. I don't even have to sign statutory declarations. Out of 54 horses, I found 4 with headshots, and 2 of them had their jaws completely blown off, right? Every other horse had 2 or 3 shots in it. They were gut shots, shoulder shots, neck shots. Not one of the, and the ground movement from where those horses had been kicking and didn't die straight away. Aborted foals. It was horrific. Absolutely. And if they think, and then from a heli, you only have to go back to Guy Fawkes. What happened in Guy Fawkes and what's going to happen up here is just.
God. The only, the only way you get an accurate shot would be with a proper sniper, a proper, highly experienced marksman, not some kid wet behind the ears fresh out of university given a gun.
You know where they have to shoot a horse? In an exact spot on the head. There's
That's
no way
the
you
only
can do
way
that
you're
running.
You know where you're going to get that.
Even a sniper wouldn't be able to do it
That's
from a
the-
helicopter.
No, exactly,
No,
Billy.
no.
And that's only to put them in unconsciousness and that. But you won't get a shot like that from a helicopter.
No
The
chance. Not in a
backdraft.
million years.
And also
And
just
the
imagine as they're chasing after the horse, they shoot one, but the helicopter keeps going. So they don't actually even check to see if that horse that's landed on the ground is dead.
No,
They don't go back to
and what
check. They're after the rest of them.
Oh my
and
gosh.
the problem
And-
is,
Yeah, go on.
the problem is too, those horses have been getting mustered by helicopters and drones for so long now, right? For them to be able to trap them and to get them into areas where they can shoot you. When a helicopter comes, they just run. So these horses are on the run. Then you've got a backdraft of a helicopter. There is no possible way. There is no humane way they can shoot these horses.
No, this is
And
horrifying.
the point of the fact is that we are under the 3,000 that we have legislation for.
And
this
this Penny Sharpe, she's overturned it.
Penny
Well,
Sharpe
Sharpe-
wants to kill 12,000, knowing that there's not 12,000.
Right? This is
Knows
what Claire was
there
alluding
isn't.
to.
She
That's
is
what Claire
lying.
Galea was. Yeah.
But-
How can you say there's 14,000? Now, she stood up in estimate inquiries today and said there is 14. She is convinced there's 14 to 20,000. Now, if you're going in with helicopters, taking into consideration, we have legislation for 3,000 Brumbies, right? Now, but if you're going in on the pretext that there's 14,000 to 20,000 Brumbies, how are you going to come up with a number of 3,000? You're not. It's impossible.
It's impossible. And so, Lynn, I know you wanted to jump in there. What were you going to say?
I don't know. I jump in all the time. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm just horrified at this. This is
Look, I mean, and
really-
they don't do any damage. I mean, all the native animals and the whole environment, they've been there, as I think both Billy and Claire were saying, for like, let's say 200 years just to even it out. And the frogs they've used the corroboree frogs. I don't know if you know the little yellow and black frogs. They're very cute. They use that against them, the demise of those frogs. But it's a fungus killing frogs all around the world, in Australia. And so, but before it got to Kosciuszko National Park, there was an abundance of these corroboree frogs. Oh, and guess what? The horses have already been there 150 years anyway. So they weren't causing any. They've used this little frog as a mascot to justify killing the Brumbies. Now, I put a link up to videos that I didn't make, so nobody needs to know I made them, but you can watch it. And it does summarize a lot of Claire's reports. It summarizes quite a few other different things like damage, numbers, corroboree frog, and all the lying bullshit that they carry on with.
It's no different to the Varroa mite. The Varroa
And-
mite.
look,
Yes.
It's exactly the same thing.
It is, I know, because my friends have been affected by that as well. They've just recently, because they're like, oh, well, we can't do anything about it. It's cool. Everyone was hiding their hives. So it was spreading anyway. So it was a stupid rule to begin with. They had to kill their bees, and they were pretty upset because they love every animal on their property. They've got fruit trees and everything. So they went and got some. They had native bees, but they brought back some more European bees because they do pollinate a little bit quicker.
There's a theme here, though, right? Now, Billy mentioned at the start of the call that these Brumbies have some sort of healing ability, and
Oh gosh,
I'd
yes.
love you to elucidate on that, Billy,
Now,
because
I'll
what
tell
we're-
you.
Sorry, just let me finish one sec, though. The theme that I'm seeing here is that there's evidence coming out that the bees give off a healing frequency as well. Now, did you know the bumblebee? It's actually been proved. You know how bumblebee physically and technically, according to the laws of aerodynamics, a bumblebee should not be able to fly with wings that size due to the weight of its body, right? Just for one example, it's been proven that a bumblebee flies because it actually levitates. It creates an energetic vortex that allows it to levitate. It's not actually flying using normal aerodynamics. So bees are magical creatures. They know that beehive keepers live longer lives. People who spend time around bees have these incredible health benefits and so on, or people who have been sick who spend time around bees get healing. And Billy's been talking about this healing power of these horses, and it's like, what is this monstrous corporation that wants to kill these beautiful creatures that we have? Like, what the hell is going on?
Because they can.
I have a 31-year-old autistic son.
Oh, yeah.
And when we saved our first lot of 7 Brumbies, and down here at Moret's place, and we had them out. Now, I brought my son out here, who was, absolutely terrified. Wild horses, This was only a couple of weeks out after they'd come in from the wild, and we had them in the home paddock. My son, we couldn't believe it. Now, at this stage, we'd had them here a couple of weeks and hadn't got a hand on any of them, just letting them go through the paces. My son got out of the car and walked 3 horses, Olivia, Coco, and Charlotte, walked over to him as if he was a magnet. You remember that, Dave? Right? Now, these horses had never been touched by human, bar being trapped from Blowering, brought out here to Moret's place. And, every time we tried to go near them, they'd take off. And Blake, it was as if he had this aura, and he stood there. I've got photos, I've got videos of it. I mean, it brought me to tears. And these horses that were untouched by humans walked up to Blake, and one, Coco, who at the time was the wildest of them all, put her head basically on Blake's shoulder. They
Not
picked up
surprising.
something with him that and as I said, these horses, I mean, they were in the paddock. They walked to him. They walked, 150 metres. Not him walking to them, because he was petrified. He wouldn't even cross the water, remember? And they walked to him and stood there. So I gave him some carrots, and it was around the first time, they started eating carrots. As I said, what Billy says, they are sentient. They're just incredible. And where I find with the Brumbies, where they're different even to a domestic horse, is these horses are untouched by humans. They have no bad experience, from being humans that haven't looked after them or have been cruel to them. These horses have come straight out of the wild. They have no barriers. And once you break through with them, they are the most beautiful, because they have no damage. You know what I mean? They don't fear humans because they have never been hurt by anyone. And it's, but to watch them with someone special needs, it's a very, very
Incredible.
warming. Yeah, it's incredible.
Billy, if you could, thank you, Di. That's an incredibly touching story. Billy, yeah, please tell us a bit more about that, because I'm just fascinated by this theme here, and it's in New South Wales, of these 2 particular. They might seem completely separate, but there's a common thread between them. Billy, tell us a bit more about what you were describing at the start of the call.
The healing, or
you said it's also been documented that there's a powerful effect in being in their presence.
The Heart Math Institute measured some horses And that's what they do. And they've got a whole lot of papers on what happens with horses and dogs and being put into this heart coherent state. And when the horses, when you get into a heart coherent state, it's an optimum state. So everything is better, your sleep is better, and you feel it. But what I've experienced is this, like I was really shut down the other day, because this is what's happening now is like, it's like a tsunami. It's just heading straight for us. It's so horrifying. I can't process it. I really can't process the horror of this woman just ruthlessly saying, "Oh, I love horses, but I'm going to execute them in the worst way possible." Yeah, and soon.
Her and Tanya. Tanya
and
Plibersek
Tanya
as
too.
well.
Yeah,
Based on
she's a
complete.
ghastly
anyway, I went out and I've got a young guy out there who's I'm actually working with him. I don't work with a lot of them, but he's we have to get some gilded, so he's been worked with. But I'm working with him in, "Hi, how are you? Can I just scratch your face?" And he came and we have this relationship, and he came over to me and just opened his heart. And suddenly all that horror, that numbness that I was feeling just went away, and I just burst into tears, and I said, thank you, because he knew I was in pain, and he just opened up, and they do it over and over and over again. They're highly telepathic. They understand everything. I've had little ones get chucked out of the herd, and I've said, "Michael, look after that one. He's coming." And then I've seen this beautiful bachelor take care of this little guy who's just been chucked out, beautifully, with his own body, look after him. And I've got video of that. I mean, it's just, they're incredible beings. They are spiritually evolved. And back to the, sorry, I get distracted, back to the HeartMath Institute. The heart magnetic field is like 5 times bigger than a human's of these wild horses, and it goes out 9 meters. So this 9-meter radius is where they're healing. So you can imagine they're healing the earth, and the other thing about the earth is that at night they line up, and their magnetic field with the earth's. So there's a lot of magic going on there.
And there's something so iconic and unique to Australia, especially the way, these Brumbies were, they featured in our history as well. I remember that movie, War Horse, which was about the horses in the war. I actually couldn't watch it. It was too upsetting for me. It was such a painful movie to watch. But ladies, we're running out of time, and I guess the real question is, what do we do? How can we help? We can get this call tonight out to several thousand people, maybe a lot more. I can get quite a few other people to share it as well, because this is a hugely important cause. But if I could start with you, Billy, and we'll work our way through the ladies here. What do we do from here?
I have no idea. To be honest,
I appreciate your honesty.
The only thing that I can think of is to, keep ringing and writing to everyone, and
thousands of people. Yes.
Yeah, thousands of people making a noise and saying, "We don't want this. It's unacceptable. No, no, no. Stop the cull. Stop the cull. Stop the cull." And like, I'm blocked from
independent count.
Yeah. And
that's a really big one.
Yeah.
The injunction might bring us that.
Here's hoping, Di.
Here's hoping.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Penny Sharpe is just so. I have no words for her. She is. It's ruthless. It's heartless. It's psychopathic, and I can't. She's not normal.
This is what we've seen over and over. Whether it was Kerry Chant during COVID, whether it was Gladys Berejiklian, whether it was it's just. Remember that Brad Hazard when he had this. It is one after another in this country of heartless people with no empathy or compassion who will just roll out these maddening agendas that we seem powerless to stop. But this one really hits hard. Di, if you can tell us a bit about your ideas and suggestions how we can put some pressure on the
Okay.
government to stop the cull.
Well, we have a big protest on Saturday down at Tumut out the front of National Parks office.
Did you say Tumut?
Tumut, yes.
Okay,
7A
you
Adelong
would
Road.
know John Larders down there, yeah?
No, I don't. No, I'm
Okay.
from the I'm from up at Lake Macquarie, but I
Okay.
travelled. But the reason we're having the rally at Tumut out the front of Tumut's National Parks office is because that's where the cowboys with the guns are going to be coming from. So that's a thing that we've got organised. It's a remembrance for the ones that were shot, and then it's a bit of a protest. Now, we've also, after 3 solicitors and the last 10 days working to try and get an injunction to stop this shooting on Monday, finally at the 11th hour, 6 o'clock last night, I got a solicitor that was willing to take it on, which was on a different challenge than what I'd been working on all week. And it's on the numbers. He's pretty sure Claire Gallia's involved, Joanne Canning, even Rod Roberts, the upper house senator, has written an stat dec, an affidavit, to state what he saw when we paid to take him over the park in the helicopter. They believe that because of the dispute over numbers, mainly because of Claire and Joanne's things with the numbers and Cairns methodology, and Penny being so adamant that it was flawed for kangaroos and all the rest of it, but it's not flawed for horses, they believe the injunction will go ahead. We've just had to pay $7,500 just to get it to Monday for it to be lodged. Then if we are lucky enough, which we think we will be, to get a hearing, we're going to be looking at big dollars because the barristers come in. But they believe that we can get a judge with the evidence we've got, if we can get it to the hearing stage, because the injunction, as you know, is always the hard part. We can get it to the hearing part. They believe we've got enough evidence that any humane judge will award that we have to have an independent count. This aerial shooting cannot go ahead. You have to remember too, she has announced this aerial shooting while we are waiting for a New South Wales parliamentary inquiry to proceed.
Right.
She hasn't even
that
waited.
was for the Animal Welfare Committee. That's we all wrote submissions in to, but Penny hasn't waited for a recount or for the results.
The recount, I found out tonight, this afternoon, the recount has been done, but it just has not, their methodology, it hasn't been formulated yet. But National Parks have done the recount, Billy. I found out off Emma Hurst this afternoon. The recount, National Parks recount, has been done. So will be interesting to see what numbers they come up with, but it hasn't been formulated yet.
Yeah,
And
there's
no,
probably
That doesn't surprise
probably
us.
about 40,000 horses now. So we've got to kill them tomorrow.
The recount had no independent witnesses. No one
No,
outside of the
no.
government has any idea what happened in that chopper. They won't have anyone up there. So
No.
no matter what numbers they come up with, they can't be verified by anything.
And no photograph, no video, no photographic.
No, nothing.
Suits
Thanks,
their
Di.
purposes, doesn't it, to inflate the numbers?
Of course it does.
And they think that it'll appeal to the public. Oh, they must be really damaging the environment. We've got to protect the environment for our grandchildren. Hang on, for the humans, you mean? To use it as a people's playground? I thought it was supposed to be for the environment, for the animals. Oh no, hang on. 3 million or more than 3 million people, tourists go into Kosciuszko National Park per year. What sort of damage does that do? Hello.
Of course.
And
No,
remember,
they want more. That's
But
the
you-
thing.
They
They
do.
want more. They have said we want more than 3 million people trampling through. And look, that park was just fine, everyone getting on with everybody else until it became a park. It was a wilderness
A
before,
national
now
park.
it's a park. And now, and I've actually noticed that, you know, sometimes I'm not saying all of them, but we've had people down here going, oh, gee, you've got a lot of space. Oh, you could put 11 houses here. And we're thinking, and then I thought, oh, no, that is a particular mindset from some people who can't handle the space. And that's what's
Right.
happening down in KMP. Oh, how can we develop all this? We could put in an airport, an
We could put a
international
shopping centre
airport.
here. We put a
We can
shopping
do a
mall.
mall.
We're
So I
running out
know
of
that,
time.
yeah, I know
Aspen.
you want to say, what should we do? Di, so yeah,
please
numbers
go
to
ahead, Wendy.
What should we
protest.
do? Yeah, let's do it.
Numbers to protest, definitely. Like, especially if you can rally some to the protest that Di's got in Tumut.
Mm.
Definitely lots of you know, emailing to all of the, especially Labor, give them hell. Try and get things out in the media. Bombard Facebook if you can. Obviously, it's hard to know what to target. If you guys know anyone who is really good with the media, has some media people, or who can actually do documentaries, I know that the shooting starts on Monday, but that's where it would be great to lead to. I mean, Billy's made some
Unfortunately, you're
beautiful
right.
films.
Yep.
Yeah.
Billy's made some beautiful films, but getting them on the mainstream media is, well, zip, basically.
Well, that's the problem. The mainstream media is basically amalgamated with GovCo. That's why we're screwed. And not only
Yeah,
that,
that's
same
right.
with big tech. If I even posted this on my Facebook, which has 60,000 people, it just won't get seen. If I post a photo of my toast and honey with butter on it, it'll get seen by thousands of people. If I post
You
a
are
contentious,
exactly right.
if I post a contentious issue, no one can see it. The algorithms know. We are literally at war with GovCo, big tech, the mainstream media. They're amalgamating into this freaking death machine. It's shocking. And that's why we have to get the word out in any ways that we can. And there is the alternative media, thank God. We have John Larder, who is in Tumut, and I spoke to Hoodie about this afternoon, Graham Hood, who's got a big audience as well. And he's appalled at what is happening. So we can get the word out across multiple platforms and make some noise, because I think this is one that's going to touch a lot of people's hearts as well. Just before we wrap up the call, did anyone want to add anything before we finish up? Claire, did you want to add anything quickly?
Something we're looking into, I've had a few people reach out to me this week, is satellite imagery, drone imagery. We've got a quote roughly between of 12 to 18,000 Australian dollars to fully satellite map the entire park.
Wow.
And that would trump any count they've got. So that's something that we're madly scrambling and trying to get into, but obviously that's going to need funding. But this is, you know, literally the
Claire,
swing.
have you sent that through to Emma and Rod?
No, the emails are bouncing back, like they're coming in now, trying to reach out to this US company that can do it.
Is that new near map?
There's
or is
three
it just
different
Google?
ones. There's
Okay.
three different ones
It's
that are
three
looking
different
satellite.
versions.
Yeah, and we're looking
we can help
into
you raise
cow
that, for
counting.
sure.
There's cow counting drone technology that people are interested to help out to drone map the park as well. So we need an independent recount. We've also got a quote of $12,000 to get the chopper up there. If we had $12,000, we can fly it up. We'll get the photographer up there, but we need some sort of judge or a JP up there. That's another discussion going around today. How can we get this independent recount? But, you know, come Monday, it's just going to be counting carcasses.
Yeah, no.
We need to do something before Monday. By Monday.
We certainly do. Oh, we need lots of tents and lots of swags.
Yeah.
Put up in the park so they can't go in and shoot because they don't know who's in the tents or the swags.
We could go to the costume shop and buy a couple of horsey outfits. Start running
Don't be
around the
doing
mouse.
that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Jesus, no. No, but I think that
Mannequins.
Di's right, you know, like if we
With
can
cameras,
flood
Di.
the park with brightly colored tents, that would be really
Exactly. People.
and
Yeah, look,
you know,
the time is of the essence, and we can.
Yeah.
Look, what I'd love for you all to do is please jump in my Telegram and just add everything that you said and any links or any emails that we can send to. I know there's some petitions going as well, and I'll get this out to as many people tomorrow, and maybe we can even reconvene for another call potentially on Sunday evening.
Yeah.
And see what we can do.
With your recording, does that record all of the chats and the bits and pieces in the chat?
On this one just now?
Yeah. Or can you download them all?
I don't think these are kept. I'd have to ask Sierra on that, but we can put them all in Telegram, or they'll stay there permanently on the cloud.
Yeah, because there's bits and pieces and links and obviously things that. Yep.
You've changed your painting behind you, Lynn.
I have quite a few. Like when I go on Zoom for work tomorrow, there's going to be one of Poster Boy looking
Oh,
over the
right.
expanse, that one that Michelle took because it's just captured everything.
Ladies,
just-
Where's
in,
Claire?
Yes.
Guess what we got today?
What did you get?
A grey, a
Oh,
Kyandra grey.
you're kidding. You saved it. Mare or
And-
female?
Mare
How old?
with the foal.
Oh,
Oh,
great.
Where
And,
from?
you ladies
And
are
a red
amazing.
roan from KMP.
awesome, Di.
Oh.
You're an inspiration. Yeah, Dave,
So
these
are you
people
too,
We were,
Claire.
we were taking
Billy.
2 and now we've got
All of you.
5.
These people blow you away. There's nothing like it. I thought the Kanga
know,
people were pretty full on. You come to
you
these people, they lay everything on the line. These ladies are amazing.
Yeah, you ladies are amazing. Look, let's keep Sunday evening.
Thank you
free.
so much, Dave.
Oh, look, it's a pleasure. Let's see if we can reconvene, and I'll see if I can pull on Hoodie and see if we can fill up this call with at least 500 people and just get a massive
Oh,
call to action
yeah.
Monday morning. So I'm getting
That would be
goosebumps.
fantastic.
I've got a license for this Zoom call for 500. So let's get the word out. I'll get some people on and we'll just discuss this and let's make it happen. And then Monday morning, we'll just smash their email boxes, this Penny Sharpe, and just have her inbox explode with Stop the Cull. And we'll do what we can. I promise you we'll do everything we can. Let's reconvene Sunday night.
You're wonderful. And thanks, Sierra. I can't see you on there, but I know you're obviously listening.
Thank you, ladies. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
everyone who's
Thank
been
you so
listening
much.
tonight too.
Thank you.
Bye. Nice to see you all. Thank you all for
Bye.
coming.
Nice
You
to see you
girls,
all.
you
Thank
ladies are
you.
amazing. Thank you so much for all
Bye.
you
Bye,
do.
Billy.
Over and out.
Bye,
Bye.
Lynn.
Bye for
Talk
now.
soon.
Bye, gorgeous.